Good morning. This is a meeting of the Leavenworth County Board of County Commissioners. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I believe it's Commissioner Reed.
I'll take a moment of silence and come. Thank you.
And we will have roll call. Commissioner Reed.
Here.
Mr. Culberson.
Here.
Here. All commissioners are present and accounted for. We will now have public comment time, and I will read the public comment. Public comment shall be allowed at the beginning of each meeting and opened again at the end of the meeting after all regularly scheduled agenda items. Comments shall be limited to 5 minutes per person. However, commenters may speak for up to 5 minutes at both the beginning and end of each meeting. There should be no expectation of interaction by the Commission during this time. Everyone wishing to make comments either on items on the agenda or not are encouraged to provide their comments in writing no later than 8 a.m. the Monday immediately preceding the meeting. These comments will be included in the agenda packet for everyone to access and review. This allows the Commission to have time to fully consider input and request follow-up, if needed, prior to the meeting. During times when the courthouse is closed to the general public, anyone wishing to make public comment will provide their comments in writing no later than 8 a.m. the Monday immediately preceding the meeting. The comments will be included and distributed with the normal meeting packet. So we will take, at this time, public comment. Come on down and please give your address and your name.
Work at 10, so I'm trying to be real quick. Hello, my name is Tyler Carpenter. I have a bee, butterfly, bird preserve named after my grandmother Beulah at 18294 Fairmont Road in Leavenworth County, Kansas. Online, people call me Butterfly. It's like a rap name, and I honestly prefer it to Tyler. There aren't many good Tylers out there, myself included. I'm okay at best. I know this is corny, but I have to say it. My name is Butterfly, and I speak for the bees have no tongues, and they're dying. In a 2023 study published in Science Advances by Drs. Molina, Montenegro, and a team found that exposure to electromagnetic fields, or EMF, radiation emitted by high-voltage transmission power lines, towers, like the ones that will be used in this hyperscale data center project, induced significant physiological stress in honeybees and negatively impacted their pollination behavior. EMF-exposed honeybees showed changes in expressions of genes related to navigation, foraging, learning, and antioxidant activity, indicating substantial physiological stress. Honeybees exposed to higher levels of EMF visited fewer flowers, which in turn reduced seed production and lowered local plant diversity and abundance. These effects were observed when the electric power transmission towers were actively emitting EMF. In a 2023 review of research on EMF and insects by Dr. Phil and his team in 2023 documented decreased reproductive capacity and altered behavior, oxidative stress, DNA damage, and impaired development. A review of over 1,200 studies examining EMF impacts to wildlife by Dr. Levitt and his team in 2021 details how bees may be reacting negatively to EMF through multisensory mechanisms. Too numerous sources of anthropogenic multi-frequency EMF interferences. Numerous experts caution that EMF limits are outdated and human-centric, ignoring the growing research reporting the impacts of EMF exposure on wildlife health, especially for pollinators. Egg laying in bees is decreased, leading to colony collapse in these studies. Let me zoom out and explain how bees communicate. It's through vibration of their flight muscles. It's also how they heat their bodies. This is how they speak. They vibrate at between 150 hertz to 250 hertz to tell each other what to do. The entire hive works as one entity this way. There are some of the most orderly creatures on Earth. The low tonal noise produced by these data centers ruins their ability to talk to each other. Imagine trying to communicate with your friends, family, and colleagues with a noise that can overpower your yelling. That is why bees simply stop communicating and colonies grind down slower and slower until they eventually collapse. I don't raise bees. Honeybees are actually non-native and were brought over by European colonizers. They spread disease to flowers and push out native bees that were there. I'm making a home for bumblebees and leafcutter bees and other non-aggressive bees that pollinate the flowers and crops better than those Eurotrash bees ever did. They don't produce honey, so they're not thought of as a commodity, so they're cast aside. After a few years of work planting their food source of flowers and limiting herbicide usage, the native bees have pushed out the honeybees. Amazing when you give nature a little boost, and most importantly, a reprieve from human pollution. It will thrive again. The beauty of this area is the transition zone from the tall grass prairie to the once great American forest that reached from here to Indiana. It would take hundreds of years to replant the forest that was cut down to make way for farms. It would only take 3 to 5 years to replant and replace any bits of the tall grass prairie. A few years of planting, weeding, and spot sprays, and that turns into permaculture, meaning it will grow again and again in the same area with fewer mows, sprays, and overall maintenance costs. We could so easily become a booming area just like Northwest Arkansas. They have exploded the area with walking trails and bike trails, and it's become a destination for nature lovers. I know we don't have the Walmart backing like them, but we could have the nature in no time to go along with the rich historical significance of this area. Plus, we are much closer to a large metro area that is handing us an absolute gift with the stadium built right near our border. We just need a few restaurants to make this place a destination. I live in the metro area, and no one says we're taking a day trip to Leavenworth ever. Senate bill, ran out of time, but
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Public comment.
Hi, Ronald Grossman, 1421 Columbia Avenue here in Leavenworth. I won't take the whole 5 minutes. My issue this morning is, and I've sent all of you emails and everything, is based upon a Facebook that specifically states that Ms. Vanessa Reed is speaking for the Leavenworth County Board. I challenge you to show me where she has ever been given the authority to speak to the board.
Just a minute. I'm not wanting us to go down that road attacking commissioners. If we could please refrain from that.
This is about asking you to take action against somebody who is.
Can you do that? Let's just do that in the email rather than making the public.
Well, I just want to make sure the public is aware of the Facebook, the public posting.
We'll get you just write a letter to the editor.
Commissioner.
I wrote letters to you.
I just don't. Okay.
Commissioner, I completely understand the board really would like a civil meeting, but I'm going to have to remind the board we like praise. We also have to take criticism. We do need to allow him to say his
Okay,
piece.
I apologize.
Okay, thank you. I will pass out copies in case you haven't had a chance to look at those emails. Can you just hand this to the board? Where she specifically presents herself as speaking to the board. And like I said, I have seen nothing anywhere where she's been given that authority. And I ask you to take action to prevent any commissioner from threatening, badgering, or attempting to blackmail somebody simply because they ask for accountability. So I'm asking you to take action and to rein in rogue commissioners. I don't need the extra 3 minutes. That's all I had to say. Please do what you need to do to take action and make this a board we can all be proud of. I'm ashamed of it right now.
So, sir, I was not trying to restrict your constitutional rights. I do apologize.
No offense taken. I understand that completely, and I hope you remain in the position of chairperson and that those Facebook accounts aren't true. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Cecilia Pruitt, Tonganoxie, Kansas. I think you all know me. I sent out an email on the 25th However, Commissioner Reed and Commissioner Stevens, I must have did something wrong in your address because when I looked at it this morning, it did not go out to you. No problem, however, I brought a copy for everybody. I'd like to go ahead and read this email out. It's very short, so people know what I'm asking. To each of the commissioners. I understand from Wednesday, meaning last Wednesday's meeting, that we hired a law firm to protect the county. And I agree this is a good idea. We always want to look at, our legal aspect. However, I would like to ask what the county has done or is planning to do to mitigate health and environmental concerns regarding the proposed data center. The county was given funding just for this reason. Who are the health and environmental experts that you are consulting with or plan to consult with? Sincerely, Cecilia Pruitt. I think this is immensely important. We have brought you, like I brought medical things from the Journal of American Medical Association, but I don't claim to be a professional. And certainly, I would think that probably these people agree too when they bring environmental concerns. So since we were given this rather large amount of money, I feel like we need to spend some of this money on investigation. So what I'm asking is that either you can, I know you can't speak to me today during the meeting, but I'm asking that maybe you could email me back and tell me who you've consulted or who you plan to consult. That's probably it. And I bring this up because as this man talked about, he was talking for the bees. You know that I come here and I speak for the children. The children have no voice. And so I'm asking this for the children. Thank you so much. And everybody have a good day.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning.
I'm Andrea Bradfield, 17361 Blue Moon Lane, Tonganoxie. And I just want to read my short story, which is, this is a hyperscale data center that is proposed. And my understanding is there is also a data center proposed at the Lawrence, around the Lawrence Airport. I have many concerns, but as she said, the children, this hyperscale data center for Blue Stem is proposed just around a mile from our elementary school and our middle school, and about 2.5 miles or so from the high school. And I honestly cannot believe that we would put the children, all of our public school and private, even the Genesis is within that same distance from a hyperscale data center. As far as I know, there are no studies that have shown the impact of 2 data centers hitting at the same time. One a hyperscale, and one it's less than 200 acres, so it probably isn't hyperscale. I don't know very much about the other project, but anyway, so 2 data centers proposed within miles of us. One southeast, one west. We could be surrounded on both sides. Project Blue Stem alone is targeting up to 1.2 gigawatts of power or more electricity annually than the entire city of Atlanta uses. Its approximate 1,000-acre footprint is about 40% of the entire city of Tonganoxie's land area. One facility nearly half the size of our whole town. Tonganoxie Elementary and Middle School sit about 1.2 and 1.3 miles from the proposed site, and Tonganoxie High School is only about 2.35 miles away. That means every public school in our district, K through 12 and Genesis, falls within the noise impact radius. Researchers have measured around facilities like this. Decades of research on children exposed to chronic aircraft and traffic noise at school link it to reading impairment, elevated stress hormones, and behavioral problems. There's no published research yet on AI data center noise specifically. Our kids would be the test case. Noise from facilities like this has been measured up to 7 miles away. Our home sits 4 to 6 miles from both proposed sites. Inside the noise radius of each, no agency tracks what happens when a community gets hit by 2 at once. These facilities can also use millions of gallons of water a day and have been tied to PFAS contamination elsewhere. Even Erin Brockovich, the real environmental attorney, is now tracking this nationally. Her crowd-sourced map has nearly 16,000 reports from all 50 states. Her warning, this looks like the early PFAS story. Regulators knew, they took 15 years to act, and by then the damage was done. If anybody wants to add their voice, you can add it to brockovichdatacenter.com. And most importantly, I ask for a 2-year moratorium so that we can study, as Cecilia was saying, we can research and study and figure out what really is going on. We can also help identify where the best sites in America would be for hyperscale data centers and other data centers. There have to be better places that will positively impact the future. So please consider a 2-year moratorium on data centers in Leavenworth County while we do research and get all the facts. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Next public comment. Come on down.
Anyway, good morning, guys.
Good morning.
I appreciate the opportunity to allow all of us to voice our concerns. I'll keep this brief for fear of repeating what's already been said this morning. As I research this thing, I find reams and reams and reams of material, so I want to focus just on one aspect of it, which has already been talked about, that is noise, and its impact on animals and people alike. Sure. I'm a practicing veterinarian. I've been practicing for over 40 years. I'm still practicing now, as a matter of fact. Here in town, I've been in the Leavenworth County area and surrounding areas, so I was raised on a farm and ranch, so I guess I've been around animals all my life. So anyway, what I'd like to talk about is the noise part of this, and not only the noise that we hear, which is human range is like 20 decibels and above, between 20 and 100 decibels. The real harm is done on the, I guess, subsonic noise. These facilities that's already in place produce anywhere from 40 to 80 decibels. I guess the CDC came out with the fact that we can, in a 24-hour period, sustain a noise level of 40 and above decibels can do a lot of harm. The harm that we're talking about is it includes disruptions to both animals and bee communications, which we're talking about migration, breeding programs, rest cycles. In short, I think what this happens is it increases stress hormones. And we're talking 24/7 of being in the fight or flight position in the areas that are impacted, which is anywhere from 2 to 5 miles. Nobody's really put a real finger on that. And as what was said before is there's children, the junior high, grade school, the nursing home would be affected on this. Most of Tonganoxie itself would be affected on this, and there's been talks with people, headaches, seizures, heart problems, just a myriad of things. It was reported, I think, in Texas that it caused in cattle spontaneous abortions. These cattle, they would crowd the fence on the far side of where the center was located at. So it's definitely disruptive to both animals and people. In my business, we base our decisions on risk-benefit. What I'm seeing so far is, I'm just talking about the noise now, not the other pollution that we're talking about. But it seems to me that the risks outweigh the benefits. I know we've been known as not in our backyard county and town, Tonganoxie. We kept a prison out, we kept Tyson out. As a result, we got some clean, ethical businesses going in town. pays good wages, and I'd like to keep it that way. I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Further public comment? Good morning.
Morning. Hey guys, my name is Andrew Bellerin. I'm originally from Western Kansas. I'm 29 years old. I purchased some land with my wife at the end of 2024 in southern Leavenworth County. Grew up in rural Kansas, kind of a farm boy, but kind of wanted to be closer to the city, to have those amenities, but also raise our kids in a rural environment that I kind of grew up in, that I appreciate a lot. I know there are a lot of things going on, but it kind of seems like this data center stuff seems to be the biggest issue that I've kind of dove into a lot more, especially these last few years. Not something that I thought I'd be doing at almost 30, but I'm not super familiar with Tongi in the area, but that's kind of why I'm here. I want to get more involved, learn more. I feel like it's a duty to be involved in my community, especially with stuff like this that can cause real issues that people are obviously outspoken about. I've kind of snuck my way into the Facebook groups, just trying to kind of be more involved, kind of learn more. Didn't even really plan on talking today, just kind of wanted to learn, but as I hear people talk, it kind of motivates me a little bit. I don't have all the stats, numbers. It seems like others have kind of done that. I didn't kind of take those notes, but we can see that the environmental issues it'll have on our land and on our area. I don't know that I've ever seen something rallied behind so bipartisan. No matter who you are, it seems like this isn't going to benefit a lot of people, especially in these rural areas. My brother works for Evergy. We've kind of talked behind closed doors. He kind of knows the toll that this will take on the electrical grid, especially as we continue to do this kind of stuff. I went to KU, been around here since college. Like I said, kind of my wife and I purchased that land. I think that these data centers do threaten a lot of those things, kind of like they've mentioned with the bees, with the animals. I grew up hunting. I feel like a lot of that is threatened with some of this stuff that we throw into these rural areas. Environmental factors, noise. I feel like they also talk about creating jobs, but in reality, it's more construction jobs for people that are coming from out of town, and then, when it creates 20 jobs down the line, I don't think the positives offset the negatives there. We're going to be living in Leavenworth County, but I actually work with the Chiefs. I do ticket sales, so I commute to KC every day. So I'm really excited about kind of the growth of Wyandotte and Leavenworth County and being out here, which is kind of why we chose to be out here. And I just think that something like this can really threaten a lot of things in the area. This wasn't very organized, but I appreciate your guys' time.
Thank you. Further public comment?
Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm Mariam Herstead, Reno Township. A real farm. That is what we were looking for. Out of the path of development. It was not easy. It took 3 years. Armed with ownership and topographical maps, we searched for the perfect piece of land. But it wasn't until 1985 when we stopped into the realty office of Lim Evans in Tonganoxie that we found it. The Tornadin family, Russian-German immigrants, had been here for 100 years. A dairy farm, they supplied milk to the community. Before that, it was home to the Delaware Nation and the buffalo. There is a precious virgin prairie on our land with a buffalo wallow. The prairie is rated AAA+ with endangered species. It is such a privilege to be the steward of this land, and it is destined for an agricultural preservation trust to save it for the future. It is an ecosystem complete in itself, with hay ground, cropland, mixed oak forest, and 4 ponds collecting rainfall from the highest hills that overflow into what time has carved out. A miniature Grand Canyon of Kansas is what we call it. It's better not to fall in. One of the reasons we chose to move here was that it was deep in a neighborhood of rich agricultural culture. It is dairy country. There was no access to I-70 for 10 miles to the west and 20 miles to the east. We thought we would be safe. But after 20 years, the owner of Tailgate Ranch and the LCDC spearheaded the move to add an interchange 2 miles north of me, and even proposed running an auxiliary road right through my farm. We fought, and we won, but it was only a 7-year reprieve due to the 2008 financial crash. They finally got their interchange. Their priority was raising property values and attracting business tax dollars. But isn't it now rather a bait and switch to consider bringing in heavy industry to an area zoned residential, agricultural, light commercial, or mixed use? I remember coming to a home show years ago and seeing the Tonganoxie booth with a large banner overhead reading, "Tonganoxie, a great place to raise a family." It would be a total betrayal to allow such a thing to harm the health and well-being of those who trusted those words and moved here. There is a nursery school across the highway, a nursing home, and an elementary school within the zone of highest particulate matter and loudest noise. Homes line the whole Leavenworth County Road 1 corridor. The tonal noise and vibrations coming through the earth travel 50 miles and will make us human tuning forks. Just sitting here, I can feel the vibration and the rumbling of the heating and cooling system, and I can only imagine what it would be like to have that 24 hours a day nonstop. I would have to leave my farm. The tonal noise and vibrations coming through the earth travel 50 miles and will make us human tuning forks. Many who cannot afford to move will get sick, and those who can move will do so at the loss of financial equity and their community. It is unfair to all of us who have devoted so much of our lives and fortunes to this community to try to call a 1.2 mega data center a light industry when it requires its own power plant, gas or diesel power station, especially for the family right here whose home is 1,600 feet from it. I have devoted 40 years of my life and all of my creative and financial resources to life on this farm. I was privileged to design and build a home, enjoying doing a lot of the work myself, and have cared for it on my own for the last 23 years. I'm a 75-year-old woman, and I do the work of a young man almost every day. My community and I have had to fight to prevent the interchange, a Tyson chicken plant. Now we use all of our time and resources to educate ourselves and the city and county commissions because there are no guidelines for something this scale that did not even exist until recently. I didn't even know what a data center was until a year ago. The onslaught of realty speculators descending upon all of the small towns and cities of Kansas are like a cloud of locusts. And it is thanks to the ill-considered SB 98. Well, I'll have to read the last half later.
Okay. Thank you. Further public comment.
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I wanted to go over some of the Leavenworth County Comprehensive Plan that's been talked about previously, but just to highlight a few things. This was an extensive and inclusive process that was put on and I think started in 2018 and was adopted 2020 by the Board of County Commissioners on October 28th and then revised slightly in 2024. Some of the highlights on the cover page, the line says sustainably managing growth and maintaining rural lifestyles. On page 11, on the page 2, the vision statement. Capitalizing on abundance of open space, rural heritage, hardworking residents, and its opportunities for development. On page 11, ensure future development of pattern. Improve the corridor's scenic and rural characteristics. On page 12, there's two concepts that were given as far as the land use. Plan A was optimistic and did show some commercial zoning on the north end of the corridor, of which there was 240 acres on the Tailgate Ranch on the north end. The remainder was medium and high density residential. On the conservative plan, Plan B, there's a very small amount of commercial property that was identified close to the current industrial park, none on the Tailgate Ranch. And currently there's no industrial zoning on the Tailgate Ranch or this proposed site for the data center. Starting on page 26, the community engagement. So all of the residents had a chance to either through the internet, websites, or in person to give their opinions. On page 50, the top reason to live in Leavenworth County, rural atmosphere, 69.3%. And then where should growth occur? In or next to cities, 63%. What type of new development? Outdoor recreation, parks, playgrounds, trails, and open spaces. And I guess in summary, for the money that was spent on this comprehensive plan, the rural lifestyle to be maintained was what the summary was. So to give, I'm Kevin Grove, 16399, 222nd Street. That's fine. Think about it. In 2020, we purchased land in southern Leavenworth County, further south, to build our home because we're moving from southern Kansas, clear down in Cali County. Lived there 35 years, grew up on a farm, wheat farm. Wheat is big down there, and we wanted to come to a rural area. We could have chose anywhere in there. Our kids live in Bonner Springs area, so we wanted to be close to them grandkids. So we bought that land. In 2021, the land that we currently purchased came up for sale. Has rolling hills, has some brome hay that we cut and produce ourselves. We have horses, so it's very horse friendly. Good place for pets and for grandkids to visit. Our decision process would be close to family and have a rural atmosphere. So before we purchased that, we knew about the comprehensive plan and read through it thoroughly to make sure that it matched or at least agreed with what our future plans were. And it seemed to be a good fit. So we purchased land. Our kids were in on it also. They were going to build a house there in the future. So we went ahead and built in 2025. Just moved in about 9 months ago now. The current zoning is ag, and now some residential will be built. So because we built, and now wondering what's going to happen if the data center does go in, I spoke with the Leavenworth County Appraiser's Office. And their feedback immediate was there would be an immediate adjustment to our property values. Basically because of the CDU, which I'd seen that on the property tax statements but didn't really know what it was. CDU stands for condition, desirability, and utility. So our current desirability in that area is very high. There's been a lot of growth and been a lot of new homes built in that area. Oh my gosh, I only got 10 seconds. So he said our property values would be reassessed. Similar to if the landfill went in, all the adjacent properties would definitely decrease by up to 20%. So I just wanted to bring that point up. I don't think that was accounted for in the overall scheme of things as far as the financial pluses. What about the minuses?
Thank you. Further public comment? Good morning.
Good morning. Ted Grenner, Tonganoxie. Going back to that dang data center that we really don't need or want, it's going to bring up more health issues than we want to pay for. I'm still wondering why we haven't had a evening meeting with all of you. You afraid to have people come in and tell you how they actually feel about it? We could have a town meeting and you can actually see what your constituents want. I did the parade yesterday. I walked it. I handed out flyers. I handed out candy. And everybody was clamoring for my flyers to find out what is going on with the data center. And nobody wants it. This was people from the north part of the county to the south part. It did not matter where they were from. They don't want it. They all know that if one comes in down here, there'll be one up north. We will be DeSoto. Do you want to look like DeSoto with all the stuff they're having built down there? I do not want to hear it. You don't want to. You say you're looking out for your constituents. I think some of you are. And some of you are on your own. You think you're doing the right thing, but you are not. You are using your own bully pulpit to push it on down our throats. And we do not like it. There will be a coming to the people that think they can just push us around. That's all.
Further public comment.
Hi, my name is Tammy Patton. I'm in Lansing, Kansas. I want to thank you guys for letting us to get up here and speak. I know that there's been some talk about maybe us only speaking about what's on the agenda to the end of the session and to the beginning. I highly recommend that not happen. And the reason is because some people work, and so they come here, they ask in the group, can we please speak first, because we have to go straight to work. Without having an evening meeting where people can come in and speak, those people, that's their only chance is to speak first thing when they get here, and then they turn around and leave so they can go to work. I was also in the parade handing out flyers. We ran out of flyers, actually, and people were asking. I mean, we had over 250 flyers at the parade, and we ran out. People were asking for more information. I think the important thing to remember is that right now I feel like a lot of people in the community think this is a Tonganoxie thing. However, we have been told that there are other areas within Leavenworth County that they could put these mega data centers. And I'm not against data centers. I'm against these mega data centers that are causing problems. So wake up, Leavenworth County, because if you're okay with it being in Tonganoxie, it could be in your town too. For those who don't know, the moratorium is a legally authorized pause that suspends specific legal processes, obligations, or penalties for a defined period. The primary goals are to maintain fairness, avoid prejudice, while issues are resolved, and create space for thoughtful decision-making. During this time of our moratorium, we took that $450,000 that Cloverleaf gave you to get a specialist to guarantee our health and safety and learn what it takes to keep our grid safe, our children safe, and our animals safe. And instead, we have used that money to get a lawyer. By the way, if you go to KUDOC Rock's page and search data centers, actually I have it, and I'm happy to give it to you, because on here it says, KUDOC Rock has spent the last 5 years delivering strategic legal support that helps drive data center development projects forward. The firm's experience across key facets of this rapidly expanding industry has kept our team at the forefront of legal service providers, assisting clients nationwide in developing and operating data centers and related infrastructure in an efficient and cost-effective manner. Do you not find it interesting that the two commissioners up there that are advocating for the data center are the same ones that helped pick this law firm? Commissioners, we can't help but feel like we're being stonewalled. We would like an extension of the moratorium so that way we can take this time to protect our land, protect the community. I don't know what to say. We feel like we want you to listen, and I appreciate, we see those that do listen. We really do. And we are shocked by those that don't. Thank you.
Good morning.
Judy Ibis Smith, Tonganoxie. We have all heard about the health concerns, environmental issues, and the tax benefit you're counting on that is dissipated when taking account the tax abatement provided by SB 98, which was pushed through by our legislators. We have also heard on several occasions about the possibility of lawsuits against the county for the commissioners inciting by showing privilege. Examples, having evening meetings or other activities asked for, like an advisory vote. I think those concerns are pale against the lawsuits that are currently being filed by residents dealing with huge facilities where they are currently functioning. Is this why you took money to supplied by Blue Stem to hire a law firm instead of hiring professionals to do independent studies to address the concerns of the citizens? Citizens' opposition and legal actions regarding data centers issues span across at least 48 states and many counties nationwide. From active tort, nuisance, environment, or land use litigation. Primary grievances drive lawsuits involve noise pollution, water and energy strain, local governments ignoring their zoning laws, and enforcing codes. The emerging wave of litigation is on the rise. Many I have heard are class action suits. Plaintiffs routinely seek financial compensation coverage for acoustic home mitigation that interferes with their enjoyment of their dwellings, health, and home depreciation. So yes, your concerns about the possibility of litigation is true, but the big picture doesn't stop with how it gets addressed in planning, but maybe after, when the issues were not investigated, that were identified, that are real, and the residents are seeking compensation for the results they have to deal with daily. Have you hired any outside professionals for independent studies into the concerns we have heard, or just lawyers to protect the plan to move forward? The U.S. has 5,000 current data centers, and that is more than 15 countries combined below them. I have heard on the news that U.S. companies and citizens are using China-based AI sites because they are more efficient. Maybe the problem isn't quantity, but quality. I don't know if any of you have seen the positive spin these AI companies are now advertising on TV. The one I have seen is produced by Meta, which states we invest in people. Amazing this is the direction they are taking, as the uprising around the country has people concerned about the lifestyle they will endure after a data center is built in their community, and the impact of AI workforce when it is prominent and the loss of jobs. The best indicator of the future might be right in front of you if you are paying attention to what is happening around you. Agenda item comments first, because we have staff and contractors waiting. I think I understood that remark correctly in the last meeting. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they're on the clock. The constituents are forfeiting their personal time to be here. I'm not sure why someone being paid to be present makes their time more valuable than the concerns of the taxpayers. Let us all get in line. First come, first serve. Maybe incorporate a number on a wheel which you acquire when you enter if you wish to make a comment. I thought special privileges were frowned on by certain commissioners. In closing, the no data center signs you're seeing all over are not like political signs. The huge difference is these signs are not free, and citizens are willing to buy them to voice their concerns. So every time you see one, realize this citizen is willing to support this cause with their hard-earned cash, and they are all over the county, not only in the city limits of Tonganoxie. Maybe you can acknowledge these signs are actually telling you more with their committed presence than the quite obvious message. God bless you and guide you in your decisions for the goodness of humanity, our environment, and our small-town community, because that is what your actions actually entail. Thank you for your open ears.
Thank you. Further public comment. Good morning.
Good morning. Dee Carlskin, Reno Township. I wasn't planning on speaking today, but a couple things were said, and it brought things to mind you guys need to know. There was a business in Lansing that allowed my group, the Citizens Against Bluestem, to put up a table and display. And so we did that this last weekend in the 90-plus degree weather. And I was very encouraged by what I was hearing. And in the beginning, when we started coming every week, I know I had asked that you people that were somewhat for the data center reach out to your constituents and get their feedback. Well, it wasn't too long after that, we heard back from a couple of you through other people that you were only hearing people that wanted the data center. So I found it interesting, of all the people that passed through and stopped and chatted with us, They all knew about the data center. Most of them thought it was just a Tonganoxie problem until we told them that there was land north, and if the Tonganoxie one gets approved, they're coming for your backyard. Then they got interested. How can I help? So, well, there's several ways. But what we honed in on was the election coming up. Know who your people are and vote for the people who align with your beliefs. Some said, I wasn't going to vote, but I will now. Others made like comments. So there may be a bigger turnout. I don't know. But 2 people walked in that were for the data center. Of the other, I don't know, hundreds that walked through, some didn't have time to chat, but when they saw our sign, they said, we're with you. So there were significant people. A lot of them said they lived in Leavenworth. So there was an influx of people with Lansing and Leavenworth, some Baser, but not one of them wants the data center. And they felt sorry for Tonganoxie, and now they're really concerned when they found out it could become closer to them than they thought. So I just felt you guys needed to know that. If you take the time to solicit your constituents, I think you're going to get a different story. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning.
Hi, Ann Trustee Hulsey, Reno Township. And I'm just going to expand upon what was being said about the use of money from Cloverleaf, which I was not in favor of being taken in the first place, for the potential hiring of a law firm. So I am pretty shocked by that. And the law firm is an openly acknowledged data center enabling law firm. So the conflict of interest just seems so apparent in something like that. I went to their website and like Tammy, read through the pages about what they do, and I brought you all copies of it because do you mind? I know you've been doing this. Thank you so much. It's not your job. Thank you. But it is
the
just...
press is always needed.
It's sort of shocking what they say, in addition to saying they're at the forefront of helping enable data centers. They secure site control, navigate utility and related electric service issues, identify, negotiate local tax incentives, negotiate financing for data centers, coordinate environmental review. Our integrated approach helps our development clients overcome regulatory hurdles, secure necessary incentives, and deliver resilient, efficient facilities that support the global digital economy. Land acquisition, title survey and due diligence, zoning, management of long-term operations, structuring and negotiating long-term electric service, interconnection of data centers to the grid, financing structures, payments in lieu of taxes, pilot programs, infrastructure development. I'm just reading off the highlights. This is from their website. This is what they do. In their experience, they've represented a global technology company in a $4 billion data center development, represented a data center developer in connection with a $6 billion center in Mississippi, represented a hyperscaler technology company in multiple data center projects in Arkansas, Minnesota, and Nebraska. It's just on and on. This is their focus, and to me, I can't see how it isn't a conflict of interest. I can't see it at all, and I certainly think that perhaps outside counsel should look at this to see, because it doesn't make sense. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Further public comment. For additional public comment. Jerry, come on down.
Jerry Pruitt, Tonganoxie, Kansas, 5th District. I sent everyone an email this week, and I know everyone's busy and probably haven't received it. But I had some questions, and a few I won't take very long. But my email was to request information regarding the data center south of Tonganoxie, Kansas. And I'm asking the commission to clarify what studies, if any, have been conducted in the following areas. And I pretty much know the answer, but I need something from the commission to tell me what's been done. And the first area is the construction impact on County Road 1 if this goes through. How will it impact County Road 1? The second issue is the environmental impact of this hyperscale data center. The third one is the infrastructure. How will the infrastructure be handled with the city and the county? The other one is human and animal health, which has been discussed quite a bit. The other is sound and noise levels, which has been discussed quite a bit with everyone. Additionally, I'm asking to please let me know, or our group, or anyone know, if any Leavenworth County commissioners have visited other data centers or attended related conferences. If so, where can I find these documents? Where can I find these documented findings from these visits, and how were they financed? Thank you for your time and assistance, and I look forward to your response. My last little comment here, or last couple, again, and I made copies in case everyone didn't get it in the emails. Hey, you know what? You're doing a great job. Okay, the first comment is, this is just a general comment. Rumors. Rumors are the commissioner is going to try to remove Mike as chair. Not on the agenda. Didn't see anything about it. I've just heard it. Can we clarify? You don't have to answer. I know you're not going to answer. But it's just a rumor. So there should be some discussion before that is done, wouldn't you think? Thank you.
Thank you.
And then the last one is your law firm is definitely a conflict. It needs to be looked at. Thank you.
Further public comment.
Good morning, Rebecca Davis, Tonganoxie, Kansas. Thank you for allowing me to speak. A couple things. One, I would like to encourage you to extend the moratorium. Right now it's due to be up, I think, August 10th. We're going to have 3 new members on the commission starting in January. I would really like to push that well past the January mark because it's going to take a while for our new commissioners to get up to speed. And I see some of you in the audience, and I'm really glad that you're engaged in the process and listening. Hi to everyone. So that's the first thing. The second thing I would like to talk about item agenda 7C, limiting public comment. So it's my understanding that that would be public comment at the beginning only for agenda items, and then at the end it could be for anything. I work full-time Monday through Friday. For me to get off work, I would have to put in my leave the day before, probably by noon. I don't know how I could possibly be here at an unknown time on Wednesday. Like, do you see how this is not going to work? I feel like that's kind of stacking the deck against public comment. And the last thing I'd like to talk about is Kutak Rock. We're under a moratorium. So how did the county hire a pro data center law firm? Like, isn't that what a moratorium is slowing this down? So number one, how did that even happen? I don't think we should be here. Part of the moratorium should be we're not hiring a law firm. I mean, we've gone full David and Goliath mode here. A national law firm that has multiple corporate lawyers, endless resources, and we're at the county fair in 100-degree heat trying to peddle T-shirts and signs to make $50 here, $100 there. Like, you guys are stacking this against us like crazy. Sorry. So I believe now that Kutak Rock is pulling the strings behind the scenes. I've gone full on. I keep coming up here and saying, in the lack of transparency, speculations fly. I'm going to let the speculations fly. Maybe Kutak Rock is now setting the agenda. I know, Ms. Brown, that you're getting a new job. Congratulations on that. Will Kutak Rock be involved in selecting our new lawyer for the county? I don't know your exact role. But I just believe Kutak Rock is now controlling things. Cloverleaf gave $450,000 to the county. You guys talked about it, I believe it was May 6th. And everything leading up to that was talking about regulations, rules, research. We were led to believe that the $450,000 were going towards those things. And now there is a pro data center law firm being funded by Cloverleaf. I don't know what to say. One more thing, last thing. So the people that voted to get Kutak Rock, the people that chose this, are the two people that voted against the moratorium. So the three of you that voted for the moratorium were not involved. The excuse was that it's continuity, that they will be the two that are still on the board come January. That makes logical sense, but come on. Number one, we're in a moratorium. You shouldn't be getting a law form. Number two, all 5 people should be involved in this decision. Please reconsider using Kutak Rock, a pro data center law firm, with Cloverleaf's money.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioner. Lee Hungerbeeler, Tonganoxie, 3rd District. I hadn't really intended on speaking this morning. I was just sitting here taking notes until Rebecca's passionate discussion. In the U.S., we elect officials in whom we place our trust that they're going to accurately represent the constituents that they are in office for. We trust that they will place their constituents' interests and welfare above their own. That trust relationship places an implicit duty on you to ensure that your constituents understand what you're voting for and why. If there's information that you have that causes you to vote differently than how your constituents feel, I believe it's your duty to ensure that they understand why. And if that's not happening, that's reflected in the next election. I understand that the majority of the commission will be up for re-election. I hope it goes well and that you understand. I believe the majority of the constituents in this room have placed their views openly. 2 weeks ago, I did send an email to each of you so that you would understand my feelings on the data center. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Further public comment? Come on down.
Good morning.
Good morning. Janice Bernhardt, Reno Township. Since I wasn't going to speak either today, but since the moratorium topic has come up, I would like to remind you, and it wasn't this body of commissioners, but there was a 10-year moratorium placed on anyone that lived along County Road 1 mile to the east, 1 mile to the west, for 10 years, on us, imposed on us, not to develop anything. And I think the least that folks could do was extend this one so that we have a little protection, because we've been under that moratorium. Of course, it's lifted now, but for 10 years. So I think that's all I want to say.
Thank you.
Thank you. Further public comment? Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity for the public to give you their views. My name's Kim Culvert. I live in Tonganoxie. And my approach to things today kind of was prompted by, oh God help me, social media. There's a lot of stuff out there. We all know this. We know some of it's brilliant, some of it's, well, I won't use the word, but the point is that sometimes you see things and it really makes you wonder. I was following a thread and someone made a comment about the natural gas-fired power plant that would be associated with this data center, if the rumors are correct. And it went on to say a little bit about the type of pollution that these things put out. And it got a response. And this was from a person who historically was very confident about what they knew and that what other people didn't know about data centers. And it was a very simple statement. Gas-fired generators, I'm not quoting, I'm paraphrasing, do not create emissions. Thank you. Exactly. I mean, gas-fired generators do not create emissions. In a country where there was just a presidential order that we didn't have to look at emissions for power plants that are associated with data centers, that all the rules are suspended. I think we know that gas-fired generators create emissions, but just to be sure, I did some research. And guess what? A brand new technology in the testing phase to try and use non-polluting gas-fired burners to burn in oxygen. And that, of course, will take care of NOx pollutant. It'll take care of almost all the pollutants that come out with a typical gas-fired burner. But it's in the development stage in lab practice, trials, types of things, not widespread use. I think there's a couple of folks who are planning to use this. But imagine what they're talking about doing. They're going to use oxygen to do the burning. It's non-combusted. It's chemical combustion, but not fired combustion. You don't light it on fire. You just give it a lot of oxygen. And it'll take down a lot of the concerns about burning natural gas and the pollutants that come with it. But it's not all gas-fired burners, and it's certainly not the ones that people are proposing to put in here. So what did this do just overall? It pointed out to me that it is vital for the two sides to always have representation. Facts matter. And if I get a fact wrong, I want to know. And then I'll go look and I'll try and figure it out. And I'll say, yeah, okay, I made a mistake. But when people see absolute lies, we don't know what you're listening to. We all, back here, we got some laughter here, but not everybody's going to laugh at that. But this is what we have. This is what we know about what you believe, is the feedback that we're getting on the type of information that's out there. We hope you're getting better. But if you slant what you do away from one side or another of the issue, we don't know what you're listening to. Most of the people who claim to be experts don't give facts and figures in their posts. But what are you listening to? What are you hearing? What makes you say it's a good thing? What makes you say it's a bad thing? Clarity, transparency. And what the signals we get aren't that way. Now, when you get ready to do, if it goes to another phase, there's going to be a lot of opportunity and a lot more clarity. I just worry that if we don't get that before the next phase, we're going to have a problem. So time is going to be important. I don't know if it's a moratorium, but I want to say slow the roll and be transparent.
Thank you very much. Further public comment. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Mary Mullen Brown, and I'm a resident of Tonganoxie. In August, my husband and I moved here from Virginia Beach, Virginia. I'm an East Coast girl in the Midwest.
We're going to convert you.
Thank you. And I want to tell you that I love it. I've never lived in a rural area, but that's the reason my husband and I chose Tonganoxie. The drive here, beautiful. I think the area is bucolic, and I don't understand why we are even considering a data center. I was shocked. I never expected that. Virginia, data centers, way of life. It's just the way it is. But I did not expect it here. So I have been educating myself as well, and I'm a strong supporter of the moratorium, and I would like you to extend it as other people have requested. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Further public comment? Additional public comment? Going one? Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Ashley Gouvion, and I'm from Tonganoxie. I just want to ask you to oppose moving public comment to the end of the meeting. I'm a working parent with 2 young children. Just being here this morning, I'm paying for childcare, taking time off work, and likely working into the evening to make up for it, instead of spending time with my family. Attending these meetings already has a real cost for families like mine. We saw it this morning with the butterfly guy trying to get back to work. My neighbor's here today. She's raising and homeschooling 5 children, and she made the time to be here. The people asking to speak during public comment are here because we care enough about our community to make sacrifices to participate. Please don't make it harder for working people and parents to have their voices heard. This issue everyone is speaking on won't last forever. Please don't make this change. And real quick, please extend the moratorium for 2 years. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, my name is Carl Langley. I live at 19523 Happy Hollow Road. I ain't got my hearing aids this morning, so I don't know what the rest of these people are talking about. But my problem is with the asphalting of the roads. They come out there and they did 7 Sisters down to Happy Hollow to 73 Highway, and then they didn't finish going out to Happy Hollow Lake. At 7 Sisters, they went down to Eddie Wagner's place. I think he paid extra for his asphalt. It went down to his place, and that was it. And Happy Hollow Lake has got at least 150 members. You know, there's only 2 houses back there that live there, me and Stacy McCoy and her husband. So I guess that's the reason why they didn't finish asphalting that to Happy Hollow Lake. And I want to see about getting the rest of that done. Can you help me? Are you the commissioner?
Sir, have you contacted the...
Yeah, I can't hardly hear you.
Have you contacted the Public Works Department?
Okay, I'll have to come back when I got my hearing aids fixed.
Okay.
But I want
to talk to the Public Works downstairs. Public Works.
I
Go
need
down. Public Works.
Mr. Noel ain't going to help me.
Well, have you had a chat with him?
When he first took the job, all he could tell me was how much better off we were in Leavenworth County than they were in Jefferson County. I told him I don't pay my taxes in Jefferson County.
Well,
so me and him kind of got off on the wrong foot. I don't know. I don't hold no grudges. I hope he don't.
Jeff, you want to? You want to talk with your commissioner after the meeting?
What did he say?
He's not going to be able to hear him. He needs to get
He
his
will?
hearing.
Huh?
Maybe after you get your hearing aids.
Do you have this every week?
We do. Yes.
I might try to come back next week and talk to you.
All right. And meanwhile, talk to your commissioner.
Fixed.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for coming.
All right.
Further public comment.
Come on down.
Thank you. I appreciate being able to speak. My neighbor said I do have a busy schedule. I have.
Could you give your name and your...
Janelle Kimsey, Tonganoxie, Kansas. Thanks.
Welcome.
Thank you. All of us are busy. All of us have a lot going on. All of us are busy, y'all have a lot going on. So I'm not going to make it about me, but I do want to say that we all are held responsible for the things that we do and the way we spend our time and the decisions we make. And even more so when we're in a place of authority. Each one of you were given the position that you've been given, the authority that you have, and you will have to give an account for it, just like I'll have to give an account for the authority that I have in my life. I raise children, I have authority over them, and I will give an account for the decisions and the things that I do, and the decisions I make for them and over them. And that's just how our Lord put it. And as we make choices and give account for what we do and what we say and how we work and what the things that we will, with that account, will be held responsible. And I know that each one of you are wanting to do what is right, and I hope that you will listen to the people here and choose righteousness and seek to put the Lord's standard forth, and that might take looking at that and really considering what is it that's right and righteous. And that's what I try to do in my place of authority. And I hope that you will consider to do the same.
Thank you.
Further
Thank you.
public comment. There's additional public comment. Going once, going twice. Thank you very much. We'll move on. Administrative business. Is there a county clerk report today? Hey, Mr. Lawfrey. Nothing. Ms. Reed.
So I was looking at this handout, one of the handouts that we got. Specifically the one from Kutek Rock. So I guess I'm a bit confused as to what some of the public wants. Do they want to spend their own tax dollars instead of Cloverleaf's tax dollars? Do you want us to take $450,000 tax dollars out of the budget? Do you want us to raise tax by that much? I'm just confused what the public wants. If we look at this, it says, bottom of the first paragraph, related infrastructure in an efficient and cost-effective manner. So I suppose this speaker wants an inefficient and high-cost manner instead. If we look at the second bullet point, it says, navigating utility and related electric service issues. Sounds important, apparently not important to the speaker. The end of that phrase says an integration of behind-the-meter generation resources and related regulatory issues. Again, sounds like I would want someone with experience doing that for Leavenworth County, but apparently maybe they want a firm that's unfamiliar with regulations. Further down it says coordinating environmental review and related permitting. Sounds very important to me. Apparently not important to this presenter. And then next to the bottom, again, it says efficient facilities. I want, if a data center is going to come, I want it to be efficient. I feel like that reflects like a lot of the public comment we've heard so far, but apparently they want inefficient. So I don't know what's going on, but I hope we can figure out a path forward that makes sense. And that's all for me.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Culvers. Mr. Smith.
Yeah, just a couple things. First thing is, I was one of the folks that voted after thought I understood it about getting a company attorneys to represent us because I wanted somebody that was an expert in these things. But don't take that I support data centers. In fact, I'm going to say something here that's probably going to make everybody a little, well, up here may upset. I don't even know why we're talking about this anymore. I look at all the things that have been brought to me and the things that sent to me. I look at all the people that have showed up and the people down south yesterday at the fair and everybody that said they don't want it. Why in the world are we taking up time when the people are telling us they don't want it? I want things for the county. I want things, but I also don't want to force things people's vote. How many times do we have to sit up here and listen to this? And they know. The thing is, they know that they're giving up money on property tax, and they still are saying, let's not do this. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Go ahead.
I don't have anything to say except ditto. Mr. Dunn.
Mr. Chair, because of last week's exchange with Lisa Hack, I think we should put it on the agenda for next week to talk about that and how we can better, if needed, ask questions and get answers that are going to benefit the commission. Put that on next week's agenda.
Okay, we'll put that on the agenda. So, moving on, consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
There's a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented. Is there discussion? No discussion. Commissioner Reed.
Aye.
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 All right. Formal board action. Consider a motion to approve the fiscal year 26 Adult Comprehensive Plan budget amendment. Come on down.
Yeah, you're up.
You're up.
Don't give us that look.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'll try not to ask you too many questions.
Yeah, point.
Technology. I'm coming before you today to ask you to approve our FY26 adult and juvenile comprehensive plan budget amendments. This is something I come in front of you every July for. This is standard procedure. Anytime we make budget amendments over $5,000, we need to get our CAB and JCAB approval as well as come before the Board of County Commissioners. As you can see in the attachments for each one, we have significant funds remaining that had we not moved and spent, we would be sending back to the state. This was unfortunately due to turnover, and I always over budget for insurance because I don't ever know if it's going to be raised. So between our vacancy and turnover, as well as over budgeting for benefits, we had on the adult side $60,000 that we were able to utilize for communication equipment, additional client services, for vehicle insurance, and making sure we get those things paid forward. Additionally, we were able to make some facility updates. So that didn't have to come out of Aaron's budget. We used our grant funding for that. On the adult side, so that amount totals $60,509.14. On my juvenile side, the budget amendment was for $12,937.91. Again, most of that came from personnel, benefits, salaries, and again, more communication, office supplies, building maintenance, and updates to our new vehicle as part of the lease.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve 26 adult comprehensive plan budget. Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. I just want to bring up something for you to talk to us just a tiny bit, since we have a nice crowd here, about how adult and juvenile community corrections reduces recidivism and actually saves the taxpayer money. The short version, the 2-minute version.
It's cheaper to keep people on probation in the community where they're required to work and seek treatment for the issues that led them to commit crimes, because often most recidivism and crime are connected to mental health, trauma, and addiction, which are all intertwined and can be treated for much cheaper in the community than we paying for them to go to prison, where it's like $200 a day for a healthy inmate. Here it's like $6 a day, and they're contributing, they're still raising their children, and we can help them heal and hold them accountable.
So community corrections saves the taxpayers money. And these folks don't go to prison, and we know what happens in prison. They learn to be real criminals.
Professional
criminals. Sometimes they go to prison. I'm not going to say they don't. Some people aren't ready for the help. It has to be the right time in a person's criminal career where they have to be tired of doing what they've been doing, and they have to want the help. We can have all the help and resources, and I have a wonderful staff of people who are very passionate about what we do and doing it the right way. And even with that, some people aren't ready, and unfortunately those individuals go to the Department of Corrections.
Very good. I just wanted to point that out. We'll go ahead and vote. Commissioner Reed.
Before we go, in the past you have explained to us in detail what some of those staff people are doing in order to create a environment that will cause them to, let's say, be a better citizen. I know they wanted a brief summary. Could you just give a little snippet of what those staff people, what they actually do to make that happen?
Like their job descriptions?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to be specific. So
Okay.
I'm giving you the real answer that you want. So community corrections employs probation officers who see individuals based on their risk level. So people come in based on where they score in criminogenic risk. So the higher you score, we see you weekly. The lower you score, the least we see someone is monthly. They're also required to submit drug tests. So my office observes those drug tests. And then we also help transport people to and from treatment if they get a residential bed that's out of this community. We also help assist them to get Ride LV paid for and help them access resources, whether it's food pantries or housing, utilities, assistance. We do warm handoffs to community partners. We also work very closely with all of the treatment providers, basically in the state of Kansas, because some people need to leave this community to get true help away from their old playmates and playgrounds. We also offer on-site cognitive education, so it's not just about going to treatment and getting treatment and learning to be sober. You also have to disrupt their criminal thinking, which allows them to justify lying or other tactics that help them get short-term benefits and gains from just stealing rather than getting a job and getting a paycheck and not looking over their shoulder and contributing to society. So cognitive education is just as important as showing up and going to treatment. And that's pretty much the gist of it.
The reason I want you to bring it up is because the connective tissue that you are providing is very, very delicate, whereas it keeps individuals from depending upon the state for assistance, which also helps to lower their dependency and allows them to become productive citizens as what we're looking for. So there are many benefits from that, and I just commend you guys for doing such a great job. We are seeing some improvements. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Voting now, Commissioner Reed.
Aye.
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 All right. Motion to approve the fiscal year 26 juvenile comprehensive plan budget amendment.
I gave you all the information at once.
Same thing. So we'll take a motion on that.
Make a motion to approve the FY26 juvenile comprehensive plan budget amendment.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Voting. Mr. Reed.
Aye.
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 All right. Presentation. No. Consider a motion to approve the updated public comment policy. We'll jump over that. Do you want to make comments on that, Mr. Lawford?
Commissioners, last week you asked me to prepare an amendment to the public comment policy. I have attached that to the agenda. Basically, this just moves the public comment back to what we used to do about a year ago.
Could you review that?
It would move public comment on non-agenda items to the end of the meeting and public comment on agenda items at the beginning of the meeting versus currently where we have public comment on anything at the beginning of the meeting.
So in order to move ahead on discussion, do you want somebody make a motion and we'll just have discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we move public comment on non-agenda items to the end of the meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so now we're open to discussion. Is there discussion? Mr. Reed? No discussion? Commissioner Culberson, you want to?
So this is the way it's been for years and years. I don't know where we put agenda items in the first public comment and non-agenda items in the second comment. It's not limiting anybody's way to talk. The reason we do that is purely financial. If we have to pay contractors to sit here for an hour and a half to wait to talk, it costs you guys thousands of dollars. That's all this is about. If you guys want to move this to a couple weeks later, I don't care. I know everybody's looking at this like a data center thing. It has nothing to do with the data center. This is something that got missed a year ago when we typed up the new verbiage for public comment. We put in there, and I know this is frustrating for people too, when you talk in public comment, if you ask questions to the board, you expect an answer. We put that in the comment because that's not how it works. We want to hear what you have to say, but we are not supposed to converse with you over what you talked about. We're supposed to let you say your piece, and that's it. So this is just to streamline the efficiency of your tax dollars as far as the public comment. That's all it is. If you want to wait till after the data center thing's over with, I don't care. I'm just saying this is the way it was supposed to be a year ago when we wrote up the new verbiage.
Commissioner Smith?
Well, I've got some mixed feelings on it. On this, I definitely don't want to make residents having to wait a long time, but usually within our practice until we have some issue like this that came up and it's been ongoing for a while.
Can I add something to
Yeah,
that?
Jeff, go ahead.
So what you're really talking about is making you talk at 10:30 instead of 9:30. 99% of the meetings, that's how it works. So we're just saying we want you to talk about things that aren't even on the agenda at 10:30 instead of 9:30. That's it.
But everything that's on the agenda can be talked about in the beginning.
Yes.
I don't have anything else.
Well, I wanted to change the way it is because I have folks that live in Linwood that have to drive 45 minutes to get here, and Tonganoxie. It's a long drive, and I like the folks to have the public comment at the beginning of the meeting because you don't know how long the meeting is going to drag on. It could end up being at 10:30. It could be at 11. It could be. It just depends what's happening at the meeting. I think there's some tightening up we could do with the way things are handled, but I like my position is we should keep the public comment at the beginning of the meeting.
I can see both sides of that discussion, and both sides has some validity. However, I also believe that those individuals that are coming to the Board of County Commissioners meeting to transact business, that they should not be held up because those are tax dollars that are coming from individuals that want to have their say. I'm for free speech, absolutely. However, when it's going to cause other individuals to have to wait until everyone else finishes in order to get their comments in, it's unfair to those individuals. In fact, it's unfair to both. I hear individuals saying, well, I got to go to work. Well, I was monitoring the clock here, and we started at about 9:05, and we just ended at about 10:05. That is an hour of public comment on 99% data center issues. Data center issues is very, very important. However, when it goes to the point of reiterating the same point over and over and over and over again, it gets to be repetitious, and it seems as though you think that we don't hear you. We hear you. We can't help but hear you. And we feel the same things that you're feeling because we live in the same neighborhoods that you're living in. We're breathing the same air, having the same conversations. I was in Sam's the other day, and this lady, she was very courteous, and she saw my shirt, and says, "You with the commission?" I said, "Yes, ma'am, I am." And she expressed some of her concerns, which was very, very valid. And I think I saw her here today. Thank you. And however, when we hear these things over and over and over again, we get them at the Sam's, Walmart, gas station. We hear them consistently over and over. So all we're asking is that, I would ask, is that if something's already been said, then how many times do we have to hear it? Because then it falls on ears that are not really listening to you. We hear you, but you're not being listened to. And that, to me, is discouraging. You have to be able to communicate in an effective manner that's going to allow individuals to make the decisions that you voted for. And when it's repeated over and over and over and over again, I think that sometimes it borders on the side of harassment. Now, hold on. Everyone has their say, and I hear, and this is not just Willie Duff saying this. This is not just Willie Duff saying this. I've heard that term used over and over and over again. It goes both ways. I want to hear what you guys have to say every single Wednesday at that time. And when it gets to the point where people are being boisterous in the audience and you don't want to hear the other side, that's when it becomes to be a problem. Because those individuals have the same rights as individuals who are for the data centers as the ones who are not for it, but they're giving information on the data centers.
Mr. Reed.
No comment.
Mr. Culberson, anything more?
I just want to finish up with saying the part of it I'm more worried about is when people come up and get the public comment and they expect the commission to answer them. That really bothers me because they look right at you and they're saying, they ask you the question over and over. And that's what I'm trying to, the point I'm trying to get across is that's from legal counsel. The reason we don't reply to you with your questions at public comment is based on legal counsel. So I don't like it. I wish we could talk back to them, but that's just
I
the way
do too.
it is.
Mr. Smith.
Yeah, I just got one. This policy, I think, and staff did exactly what we asked them to do, so I appreciate it, Mark and Missy. But I think we could still go back and look at this. Maybe we need to have, just a thought, maybe we need to have a cutoff that everybody understands that we're going to take this until 10 o'clock or 9:30, and then we're going to do the regular business. And then we'll come back at the end and finish up with everything. That's somewhat of a compromise, so we're not telling people they can't speak, but they may have the opportunity to speak in the evening.
I thought we already had that hour and a half.
No, well, we never enforced. We used to have 10:45.
That got left out too. Yeah,
Well,
we had that exact thing.
I brought that in when I first came a county commissioner, but we never followed it.
Yeah.
So I think if we did something like that, we might be able to appease, not be perfect for everybody, but at least it's a compromise, so we could still have it in the beginning to a certain amount of time and finish up with the end. Just my 2 cents, Commissioner.
So what disturbs me about the situation is that we were talking about changing because of contractors, et cetera, and I can appreciate that. But then when the conversation changes and I hear that we don't like what we're hearing, we don't want to hear more, we think it's too repetitious, we don't like what the public's saying, that's different than changing it for the... So that raises my red flag, and I think, well, this is just because you don't want to hear what the public's saying.
Well, let's see why.
And that's the concern I have about changing the policy. I want the public to feel, whether we vote yes or no, ultimately on data centers, I think the public should feel that they got their say at the county commission meeting and that they have the right to speak right there and give any opinion that you have, because you elect us and you are the citizenry and you are the taxpayers. That's the way I feel.
I think everyone that comes here is spending a lot of their personal time to come here and make their wishes known. I think that I would probably come and express my concerns also at every time that I had the opportunity. However, I think I would censor my comments to whereas they are something that we can depend on from that individual, consistency over and over and over again. People should have an opportunity to come in and voice their opinions. Absolutely. And if what I said earlier, you felt that I thought that you shouldn't, that's not it. That is not it. I played the YouTube tapes over and over and over again off of YouTube. And when I hear these things, I go like, okay, well, we heard that, we heard that, write it down, and try and look for information that can back it up. Some I've found, they do back it up. Some I found, it's not. But I cannot, when an individual points out from the podium, ask me a question that is I really can't answer because I don't answer for the whole board. I don't. But I can answer a question that's directed exactly straight to me, bullied up, and I will answer you. If you call my name, I'm going to answer you, whether you like the answer or not. That's where we live in. I'm done.
Mr. Reed. Mr. Culverson, anything else? Mr. Still? Okay, so we do have a motion on the floor. So is there any further changes to that?
I'd like to, what Richard Smith said, to give a certain amount of time that for those individuals to say what they have to say.
I think that would be a compromise for us to do. We could put a time limit on it, and Jeff was right. We did have it set. We never enforced it for 5 years now. But that gives also the people the opportunity to speak. And then the ones realize that if we don't get this time, then their time is going to come after we go through the business and get the other folks out of there. I just think it divides it up. I just think it's a better way to do it.
So you're saying have X amount of time at the beginning,
For audience
and then if when the time's expired, anybody that's still here could give their comments at the end.
Yeah, after we go through the normal business.
Okay. You want to modify your
Willie, is that what
motion?
you heard, or are you saying something?
Yes, that's what I heard. Now, I know that we're coming up to budget soon, and that takes a lot of time. So I would think it would be incumbent upon the board to make individuals know ahead of time that there's not going to be enough time to take care of the budget and those public comments. So if they go over a certain amount of time, I think that we should let the public know ahead of time.
Well, I think I don't mind how much time it takes. We give an hour for public comment, or 45 minutes, or whatever we choose. Then we go into whatever's listed, and then afterwards, even if we're here in the afternoon, we let them finish up, and they understand that they'll be able to finish up with their comments. I think that enables everybody to speak. And you know, when people are passionate about something, they tend to repeat themselves. I do. I'm trying to sell a point, so I don't mind hearing it over and over again. But we do write it down. I know every county commissioner up here is taking notes, and I do have a pile on my desk of all the stuff about data centers. That's why I've taken the position I've taken, especially in the last 3 months. But I thought Commissioner Dovin, we just did a time in the front, and at the end it might be better. We may have special times like budgets that we have to adjust the agenda, make everybody aware. But I think the overall that would work for us.
I don't disagree with you.
So
do you want to have an hour and a half time limit on the agenda items and then no time limit for the non-agenda items at the end of the meeting? I think that's how we did it.
There's no time.
And do you want an hour and a half or 1 hour? Hour and a half, I think is what it was before, wasn't it? Was it an hour?
It was 10:45.
I think it was 45 minutes, Commissioner,
45,
and
okay.
we limited the public comment to 3 minutes per person,
Okay,
so
I'll
that
work.
you can get more people done.
is the beginning still going to be limited to
1.5. So
agenda or anything?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to amend my motion to include a 1.5 hour time limit on the agenda items at the beginning of the meeting.
Well, it's only on agenda items.
Agenda items.
You agree to that change?
Yes.
And you second the motion?
No time limit on the end. Public
Okay. So there's a motion on the floor.
Wait a second.
Oh.
Wait a second. First of all, we got to withdraw our things. We got motions. We got to withdraw.
Okay,
one.
so just to clarify, we have a motion right now by Commissioner Culberson for 1 hour and a half at the beginning, but only on agenda items, and then unlimited at the end of the meeting. That is the motion. Am I correct? Okay, so that's on the floor right now. Now we're in for discussion.
Now, what you're
hold on. I'm going to start with Commissioner Reed. Mr. Culberson. Okay. Now.
So what we're saying is 10:45 or whatever that time would be then the folks need to show up for audience participation. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah. Mike.
At 10:45.
No.
Well, Mike.
No, we're saying once the public comment starts, that starts the clock, and they have an hour and a half, which that's usually covered all of them. I mean, that's always been more than that.
So, my only issue with that is you're saying agenda items. If you took the agenda items out.
No, I still don't get it. I'm old, so bear with me.
We're going to put an hour and a half time limit on when they start speaking.
For audience participation. Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I said. Yeah, but and then we go to the agenda, and then we come back to the thing. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so explain to me how you understand it.
Bear with us, folks. We'll get there. When the meeting starts, we go through the preliminary stuff that we got to do. You know, the flag, and then we go an hour. What was it, Jeff? Hour and a half. Hour and a half for public comment
on agenda.
Only on agenda items.
No.
That's the issue I have right there.
No, I can't do that. I would like to see just an hour on public comment on anything, and then folks know that at the end of the meeting, we'll pick up and we'll be able to do that stuff, with the agenda being the stuff in the middle. I go back and say it again, Jeff.
Second.
Are you okay with that?
It's not really going to second it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Now, wait a minute. We have a motion on the floor. He's agreeing to modify by removing the agenda item phrase.
I am.
All right. Did you just say that?
I didn't say that.
Oh, I thought you did say that.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Let me start from the beginning.
Okay, go
Mr.
ahead.
Chairman, I'd like to rescind my motion.
You agree? Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay.
Could
Go
I-
ahead. Well, I'm recognizing Commissioner Collins. Oh, go ahead.
So my concern, the gentleman that waited until the end, if we have a limit and we have something like we've been happening, where people are saying approximately the same thing over and over again every week from the same group, and there are ways to address that much more constructively, like at the school board, part of our public comment policy was send one member from your group, right? If you've already spoken to the board, it needs to be fresh. So I think the policy could be way better than the current proposal, but I don't think this board supports something like that, so I'm not going to attempt it today. But my concern is with the gentleman that had to wait till the end, he had a road concern. Are you willing to entertain something like if you haven't spoken before, you get priority? Because if there's actual issues that are current going on, like something with the road, we might not ever get to hear it. If that time is eaten up by activists, then we don't get to hear what's said.
You know, I just don't think we're ready to vote on this.
It's a bad time.
I think this should be tabled, and we throw this back together again.
Is that your motion? Table it.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we table the motion to approve updated public comment policy.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there discussion? No discussion. Voting, Commissioner Reed.
Aye.
Aye.
Absolutely.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Presentation and discussion items. Commissioner Reed.
For council, would you be willing to talk about how this governing body should go about deciding on land use?
Just to clarify, Commissioner, you're wanting to know like how the governing body should make any land use decisions?
Yes.
There's multiple factors in this, but going with state statute, when a landowner comes in and makes an application for any land use, state statute prevails on that. Kansas is, of course, big on land use laws for the owner, protecting the rights. So land use decisions have to be made according to state statute. Typically, if we're talking about something like a rezone or a special use permit, an application is made per the regs that this county has adopted. Staff requires a variety of items to be presented and addressed at that time. It then comes in front of the Planning Commission where you would have a public hearing conducted. It's noticed up. Both sides come in and present their cases. It's voted on, and then this commission ultimately makes the decision on that matter through a variety of factors. If we're talking about something beyond a special use permit or rezones, where it's just other general land use items, you have your comprehensive plan where it's a guiding document where the commission and members of the public have voted on what we think parts of the county should be, where they're geared to in regard to development. Does that address what you're asking? Or?
Yeah, I'm only in my second year on the county commission, my sixth year being a politician. And I understand that land use decisions are much more than just public comment. And so I'm saddened when a sitting county commissioner with a lot of experience, more than myself, seems to be making their decision not only ahead of an application, ahead of regulations being voted on, but also I think it's extremely misleading to the public about how we appropriately govern. And so that's a large concern for me. I also would like to know how many people you've spoken to in the comment that you made before, because you said basically, it's not what the people want. Why are we talking about it? How many people have you talked to?
Well, let me just answer that. You want to throw these questions out there, which I think I would never come after you like that on your opinion. The reason I did that was because I get to see the people down in Tonganoxie come up here. I get to see the people in the street. And if everything else been on level playing field was straight, if the people in that area tell me they don't want something, then it's up to me as an elected official to try to make that happen.
So I guess I'm just confused then. So you are saying you make your decisions solely on public comment?
It's part of it.
So those are two different things you just said, which is what I'm trying to clarify for the public.
No, you're twisting my thing. Bottom line is,
it's on record.
When we first started coming out here, I made it very clear I didn't know where I was because I didn't know any information. Now, people here and people through email and everywhere else is giving me information that I've looked at more and more. So I take that, and I take that with, I got some concerns now. But then when you add in that the residents are totally, in my opinion, most of them, the ones I spoke to, are against it, then yeah, that plays into my decision.
So we have over 84,000 residents in
I didn't go talk to everyone of them.
Okay, I'm going to just call the decorum here because I don't want to have,
That's fine. All my comments will just be straight.
Right.
And then per district, we represent roughly 17,000 people, is what I understand. I think from the numbers I could find this morning that we have roughly 63,000 or so that can vote in Leavenworth County. So I haven't clarified these numbers with the clerk. This is AI data, so if it's not accurate. But again, just for public transparency, you'll see an obvious difference in how people govern. And so I think there is a right way and a wrong way to do it. And I think what we should be doing is educating the public on what our responsibilities are legally in the state of Kansas. All of the things, as council stated, that we should be taking into consideration when we make a determination. It is a land use decision. It's not something that we are supposed to do based solely on public comment. We have a duty to consider the entire record, apply governing law and applicable regulations to the facts. We should look at zoning, adopting regulations, rezoning. One of the complaints that I don't understand, and I would love to have more conversations about this, is you say, as the plan states, that you want development close to the cities. In the same argument, you're stating it's too close to schools. Like, we can't have everything. We can't have development close to the cities and not have it close to schools, right? Like, some of these arguments, they just don't work together. So my office is always open. I would love for you to make an appointment with me so I can understand what you're looking for better. Because I see conflicts in the arguments, I see conflicts in the presentations, and that makes it difficult for me to move forward in a way that encompasses really what the people want, which, as Commissioner Smith stated, I believe all five of us try to do absolutely the best for all of our constituents in Leavenworth County. This is kind of a position where you act more like a judge. You don't get to make your decision based off of who the best public commenter was. You have to take a lot of things into consideration when you make your decisions. And I'm just trying to help the community understand, because if you haven't sat in one of these seats, if you haven't studied how these decisions are made, it's easy to think that, our group is the only group that's showing up, our group is the only one that's commenting, our group is the only one that's on social media. So, to Commissioner Smith's point, why are we still talking about this? It's easy to think that way, but that is not how these decisions are made legally. And I think we need to do a much better job at informing the public so that we can all work together instead of it seeming like a battle, which it really shouldn't be, because we are all citizens here. We all care about our children, obviously. It's just weird, some of these public comments. So that's all for me today.
Commissioner Smith.
Just a couple things. You know, been a public servant for over 46 years. 46 years, folks. I'm older than a lot of y'all. I'm older than almost everybody up here. Almost.
You're older than me.
Almost everybody. So I have gained some knowledge on some things. Like some people have not been in office that long. And sometimes it takes a while to get there. But one of the things I've noticed is that when people speak to you, you listen. And they speak as a majority, a group, you listen to them. You also go and do your homework. And y'all provide a lot of this. I've also been to a data center. So I've been out there and I've heard some things that I've heard that weren't true, and I've heard some things that I've been told and given are absolutely true. But when it comes down to it, we're governing the people of an area and what they want, and if they know what the results are, then that's what we should follow. That's what they elected us.
I just had a few things I jotted down notes when discussion was being had there. Gas power on a facility is concerning. There's a lot of emissions involved, and I think anyone that says there's not a lot of emissions, we're going to have a major power plant south of Tonganoxie that's putting out a lot of emissions. If this goes into
that guy.
What was that? So that's a point that it's not just about a data center, it's also about emissions. It's about environment. It's about, we have clean air now, we're going to be breathing something different if this goes into effect. So it's just clear as day that's going to happen if this goes through. Also, some comments about these small modular nuclear reactors they've been talking about that produce between 10 and 300 megawatts of power. So we put 4 of those in out there. And I actually had one state legislator tell me that I called him and said, well, how much waste does this create? Because we don't have anywhere to go with the waste right now. Yucca Mountain was defeated, so every nuclear facility becomes its own waste site currently. So I asked this person, well, what about these small modular reactors? Do these create waste? And this legislator said they don't create any waste. That was his answer. It doesn't create any waste. Not true. Not true. They do create waste, and you got to go somewhere with the waste. And the somewhere is going to be where you locate it. So if you think the answer is to put 4 modular nuclear reactors south of Tonganoxie, you're creating 4 nuclear high-level waste sites right there south of Tonganoxie. Just get it in your mind that maybe that's okay. I'm pro-nuclear. I think we ought to have it at Wolf Creek. But if you do the small modulars, you create a waste site, which is another thing. So if it's gas, it's the emissions we have. If it's a nuclear plant, now we have a high-level waste site south of town. Another thing that I have noted is, a terrible increase in the amount of dark money coming into our county. I don't know if you've received postcards. If you live in the 5th District or another county commission district, a group called the American Property PAC, they pay to send out promotional information for a candidate. Turns out they are the folks that are promoting the data centers. Dark money coming in. There's a lot of things going on in Leavenworth County that are nefarious, in my opinion. Also, golden rules and we talked about the land use. One of the golden factors is public opinion. That is one of the golden factors when we're talking about land use. We cannot exclusively use that as the deciding factor. It cannot be, according to the law. But it is a factor that can be considered. We should not discount the fact that it is a factor, and I think that's very important. Those are the only points I had today, but it's just I think the public should be heard on this. Okay, then we will move on to the additional public. Do we need an executive session? No. Then additional public comment. Come on down.
Good morning. Jim Krauskin from Reno Township. We are in the final stage of the meeting today. These are the final comments, correct?
That's correct.
You know, I wasn't going to speak today, but from the comments we've heard, I just can't contain myself. You know, what we're talking about, land use and being critical of the people of Tonganoxie. You know, and I guess, Ms. Reed, I'm directing most of my comments to you. Do you understand what a hyperscale data center will do? Look at Elon Musk's in Memphis and what it's done to that community. It's the asthma capital of that part of the country. Look what's happening down in Louisiana. They are tearing apart parts of Louisiana to put in a hyperscale data center. Mount Washington, Wisconsin. That is a horror show, and Cloverleaf created it. You know, the only thing that we can see that is good about a data center is the money that they're throwing at us. Okay, they're going to give a lot of money to Leavenworth County, and Tonganoxie possibly, and the school district down there. But is that money worth what it's going to cost the people? Is it worth all the money that it's going to take for the health of our citizens? You know, I would love to sit down and speak with you about what we're talking about. I've came up here for I don't know how many weeks in a row. I have never talked about the same issue. It's overall the data center. But not one thing has been what I've said.
Are you available after the meeting today?
I'll have to check.
Well, if you're available, I'd love to meet with you.
All right. I've got 3 minutes left, I guess. But the bottom line is, folks, we are not here because we don't have anything else to do. You know, it will fundamentally change our lives. That's why we are so passionate. I mean, passion doesn't even begin to measure what's going on. You know, we talked about people being in public service. You know, I worked in school districts for over 40 years. I worked in this. I was a state legislator for 4 years. I've been a lobbyist for 6 years. I know the process, and there is the boondoggle that took place in Senate Bill 98 has created this problem. Aaron Blue said he's here. We wouldn't be here because of 98. And all of the dark money that came into this state because of it. And it's a bipartisan boondoggle. The governor and the legislator, who are two different parties, they were both involved in it. I refrain from saying names because I still work with a lot of those people. But it is so sad that we got sold out, and we in Tonganoxie are experiencing that sellout.
So if I would sit here today and tell you that I'm anti-data center, would that respect the process that you understand?
Respect the process?
You stated you understand the process.
I do understand the process.
So would that respect the process?
I don't understand your question.
I think that you want me to say no data centers in Leavenworth County.
I want you to say, and all of you to say, look where it's at. You say it's okay. We want land use, or the elementary school. I worked in schools for 40 years. The elementary and middle school, they are so close to it, and the emissions that this thing's going to give off, this power plant. And there's a lot of things that we're not being told. But let's face it, folks, it's going to hurt people. I can't imagine why we can't get it across that it's not like we don't want it. It's going to hurt us. It's going to what we know as Tonganoxie, it's going to hurt us. I mean, physically.
But you believe I haven't heard you because I haven't stated an anti-position.
You don't act like you've heard us. Let me put it that way, okay? I can't say you've heard us not,
But what
you
are you
don't act
basing that on?
your attitudes.
Which is?
I mean, Miss Reed, in all due...
You know, I'm going to call this, we're not going to do a colloquy between...
Jim. Jim.
Mr. Dove would like to
Jim,
address you.
You and I have had a pleasant relationship, even though we're opposed to several issues.
We have been, yes.
Okay, but I think we have a healthy respect for one another.
Pardon me?
I said I believe we have a healthy respect for one another.
Yes, as you said, we've disagreed, but we've
always been cordial.
Yes,
and we've always had a conversation. I would like to have one-on-one with you because there are some things that you've said today that I'd like to know more about. And if that could be arranged and you and I can have a conversation in my office or whenever, I'd be more than happy to sit down and talk with you.
I'd be happy to.
Okay, all right.
Well, very good. So,
Cecilia Pruitt, Tonganoxie again. I have more of a question. Both my husband and I sent emails out, and granted, you guys have not had long to look at these emails because I think we sent them out Saturday morning. And Miss Reed and Mr. Stevens, for some reason, mine didn't go through, which is why I brought something. I must have put an address wrong, but it's why I brought you a copy.
it's I before E, except that.
What I would like to ask is, could you put it on the agenda next week to discuss and let us know what is a reasonable amount of time to give you to expect a written response to our questions? Because I honestly don't know. Do I give you a week? Do I give you 2 weeks? 2 weeks seems like the most.
I think it's according to each commissioner.
Well, could that be addressed? Because, we're not supposed to ask you questions, so I'm trying to think of how do I get an answer. And then a couple little things from all the discussion that I've thought about is I feel like our comprehensive plan is being ignored. And that bothers me because there was a lot of money and a lot of us spent a lot of time in on that. So I want to make sure that's an important thing. And then maybe I misunderstood because I always can. But Ms. Reed, it seems like you didn't, that when you were talking to Commissioner Smith or Commissioner Reed, when you're talking to Commissioner Smith, you were questioning like how many people and I felt like you were questioning, did he really have a grasp on the majority of people?
Yeah.
Well, I think there's an easy answer to that. Let's put it to a vote. I believe that tried to bring forth some signatures and we were told that wasn't it. So yeah, let's before we make a decision, let's put it as a vote for the entire county to look at.
And that's why I tried to talk about the process that we are legally following.
Right. So, which comes down to we need to have at least a 1, if not a 2-year moratorium so we can go through these things, have this vote and do this.
Further public comment.
Morning. Lee Hungerbeeler, Tonganoxie, 3rd District.
Could you spell your last name?
It's HUNGERBEELER. There are not many of us, and most of us are still here in Leavenworth County. Rather than going directly back to data center discussion, wanted to talk about decision making. Ties in with my earlier comment on that trust relationship between an elected official and their constituency. One thing that a lot of the folks here, especially in this county, can understand is the military and how that operates. As a military commander, it's relatively easy to reach a decision. Your staff provides information, And you make that decision based on the best information that you have available. The downside is if you make a poor decision, it can result in either a failed mission or death. Thankfully, that's generally not the issue as an elected official. You can still fail a mission, but it usually does not result in death. However, as an elected official, you have a responsibility to your constituency to account for their interests and their welfare. When you make a decision, you may be privy to information that's not available to the general public. And I very much appreciated what Commissioner Reed said. As a collective body, we need to do a better job of informing the constituency on information that's available. A failure to listen to that constituency is usually less of a consequence, usually just results in a failure to be reelected. Someone else coming in who the constituency believes will listen to what they have to say. However, that constituency then has to deal with the consequences of your failure to listen to what they want. I believe that it is a reasonable request to ask for a 2-year moratorium so that we can gather more information. So each of you are able to poll your constituency and find out what they think. And thank you for clarifying. I think that was a reasonable question on asking. What is the process to make these decisions? Understanding that public opinion is only one piece of that decision. But it's a very large piece. And if you're able to provide the information to your constituency on why you made a decision that went against public opinion, then I believe you're doing a much better job than by simply going against and failing to listen to your constituency. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Again.
Tammy Patton, Lansing, Kansas. First, I have to say, I have learned so much about politics that I never thought I never had political talk with my family, never wanted to watch the news. I have learned so much within the last couple months. So much. I wanted to bring up the fact that, you know, there's a lot of people out there that just don't have the courage to get up and speak. You know, they'll talk to us privately, but like coming to an event like this is so nerve-wracking for them. Yeah. You know, and when we approach people and tell them about what might be happening in the community and the fact that either they don't know or they work or they don't have the courage to come up here and speak. You know, we've said, hey, you can send in emails. And I'll be honest, like, I don't know, has anybody gotten an email response back from emails that were sent out? Like, so a lot of people are like, did they even receive it? Did they read it? Like, are we wasting our time? You know, so for those who can't come, they're reaching out but not getting an answer. And I do know there's some of you that definitely respond, you know, especially with Facebook. But, you know, the other thing is asking Mr. Smith, you know, about how many people that he knows that is against the data center. I mean, we're out there. We're doing the legwork. We're going out there. We're asking people. They're asking, what can we do? How can we help? Just because they're not here today doesn't mean that they're pro-data center. You know, what about, hey, community, Leavenworth, Tonganoxie is not the only place that they're going to possibly, if this one goes through, put another mega data center. Why don't we have each area vote? Mr. Culbertson, ask your area if they want to have one in Easton. Do we want to have one in Lansing, in Leavenworth, in Basehor, in downtown Leavenworth? I mean, do we want to have these here? Ask the community. Maybe we should do a vote in every town and say, do you want a mega data center in your town? Because it's very difficult for someone who might be in Leavenworth to sit there and say, well, it's a Tonganoxie problem. I'm sorry to say, guys,
But if it comes to Tonganoxie, it's going to be in your backyard. So maybe we need to be going out and putting votes in each town and say, hey, do you want one here? It's very hard, by the way, Mr. Culverson, to go to Easton and poll people because there's not many stores there to be able to do that, because we've asked people that live there and they're anti-data center, but there's not really a place unless we go door knocking. And I can tell you what, I'll go door knocking, and I guarantee
there's a nice little restaurant over there.
There's the one. I guarantee that our normal group, who I can tell you we have meetings or we are trying to get that information out, I don't know, 4 or 5 days a week. I work 3 jobs. I'm a business owner. I work a salary job. I have a farm. I have 5 children in my house at this point. We're busy, but we are 100% anti-data center.
Anybody else?
Hey. Hi. I've already introduced myself. I want to say a little bit more. These people like Cloverleaf. By the way, Cloverleaf is also Meadowlark. The same man owns both. And I just look at that and I think, this is a lawsuit. This is a bankruptcy coming. This is untold numbers of dollars that Leavenworth will have to spend on lawyers. Once you get into it with Cloverleaf, believe me, there's going to be lawsuits. There's either going to be lawsuits from the community, or they're basically not going to do what they promised to do, because if you read their history, for instance, all of this time that's spent making regulations and stuff, they get around that. The end user doesn't have to follow those because they sell it to an intermediary, and they will not sign a contract where those things travel with the land. It only travels with the owners. So it doesn't transfer to the third and final owner, and they ignore everything that y'all have spent tons of time and money. And all these people have researched all of these regulations that would make it somewhat safe. They ignore it all, and they do what they want. And then come the lawsuits. You don't want lawsuits. I'm just saying, they admit that they're only here because of SB 98. Last week, or a couple weeks ago, they're in Lawrence. As of yesterday, Topeka put in a moratorium, and so they're like, okay, we'll just put it right outside the border of Topeka. They will never stop. They are like pariahs, and they are speculative, and the money that they are using to do this is from shadow banks. And I have heard all kinds of stuff, how those are just about to tumble. Just like 2008, we are looking at a possible failure. I've seen these charts about how one company, they have this $1 billion debt, and it's the same $1 billion debt. They just keep trading it around between NVIDIA and these other companies, and it's all a shell game. And I believe Cloverleaf is a shell corporation, and I sent you guys this kind of an expose on Cloverleaf. Who got it? Who read it? Who read it? Because it's all in there. Well, a lot of it's in there. They use another town as an example, but at the very end of it, it has the 5 or the 7 questions, and the first question is, are you willing to? I forget what it was. Are you willing to let people know, what you're doing or something? And if they can't answer that, then the other 6 questions don't count, because everybody here wants to know, wants their interests passed on. Now, next time I'll bring those 5 questions. How about that? Anyway, I believe that our government has an ethical and fiduciary duty to not engage in practices at the cost of its taxpayers, with no benefit to those taxpayers and the many costs to their health. It would appear that no one ran the numbers also. I do not believe for a minute that we're going to come out financially ahead. And perhaps that should have been done by Congress. I've heard this story about the license plate bill, and it's so confusing, but I won't go back over that again. I do believe that gut and go should be illegal. I cannot believe that that's legal. This would rob communities of 20 years of sales tax on buildings and materials, and the guts of that thing are, well, they change it every 2 to 3 years, and a lot of the things that replace them are not backwards compatible, so they end up having to redo a lot of stuff. Anyway, there we go.
Thank you very much.
Hello again. Kevin Groh, 16399 222nd Street. I ran out of time. I'm usually not a windy person, so I don't know how I did that, but wanted to go back to the property tax value just to follow up and finish up. So the Leavenworth County Appraiser's Office did say our CDU would go down significantly and our overall property value would decrease up to 20% if the data center goes in. Any adjacent property obviously would have the same result. I don't know how far that goes out from the data center. If it's a mile, 3 miles, I don't know. But that's going to decrease the tax base right there, property taxes in the county. And I just think that, even though they're on the other end of the building, should be part of the property tax or the package that was done, showing how much property tax is going to be raised or brought in by quarterly versus how much is going to go down. Not only that, there'll be less people moving into Tonganoxie, so that's going to decrease the overall desirability for that area, and so the property tax collections will go down. In summary, so I just want to say have that part of the estimates. The Leavenworth County comprehensive plan should be followed if that's what the people want. There's a lot of growth going on in neighboring counties, specifically Wyandotte County, that's going to drive businesses to locate in Leavenworth County. That's going to bring in a lot of entrepreneurial type business, small business that's great for the economy. And I just ask to extend the moratorium when that comes up to vote. And thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Groh, Commissioner wants to ask you a question.
Yes.
Do you have that response from the appraiser's office in writing?
I do not.
Would you be able to tell me who you spoke with?
I do not. I haven't cleared that with him, but I do have a witness. So.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Further public comment.
My name is Mary Malone Brown. I'm a resident of Tonganoxie. I want to thank you for your candid comments, and I appreciate hearing your thoughts. I would again request a 2-year moratorium on the data center to give us more time to study it and learn more, especially about the litigations going on in other states. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Andrea Tonganoxie. One thing that she said that I wanted to make sure you guys understood was that my understanding is that data centers will only hold up for 2 to 3 years. That's what she said. In other words, as you know, your laptops, all of our technology becomes out of date really quick. This data center will become out of date pretty quick. And I don't know more on that. I haven't done a lot of research on that. But then what happens? Do they just start all over? I just don't know what happens next, but I don't think it's good. I also am hearing that there's a lot more data centers being built right now than are currently needed. And because they become so quickly outdated, I think there's a lot of unknown here. That's all I had to say.
Thank you.
All right, Robert, you're the last.
Robert Owens, 18210 Amelia Earhart Drive. I have two quick comments, board members. One, under our current policy that you guys have adopted, SUP does not transfer with the sale of a property. That's correct. So if Cloverleaf builds this facility and they sell it, is the SUP...
Hold on, let's clarify that.
That was changed this year. You had it for a little bit because of an issue, and then you changed it back. So it does transfer. It does transfer.
Okay. It does. So you guys did overturn the policy on the SUP at some point in the last year.
On conveyance, it does transfer. So
okay.
When your property sold, it does transfer. Now, right now.
Okay. So my second deal is, would the board members be willing to sign an NDA? Because I am on the Planning and Zoning Board, and I've discussed with other board members that in the moratorium and the guidelines, we present that no board member can sign an NDA on any public issues that involve the public trust. Unfortunately, we can't ask that as a board. You guys have to self-govern yourself on NDAs. So I would like it if you guys would make a motion that, hey, no one's going to sign an NDA on anything that involves the public trust. In my comments, thank you.
Well, I really just so there's no information put out there that's not accurate, I will just say none of us have signed an NDA. Is that correct, Commissioners? None of us have signed an NDA. So just let you know that we have not signed any NDAs. Thank you.
Nor have we been asked to sign.
Right.
Right. We need to get that. All right.
All right, I'm back. Jerry Pruitt, Tonganox again, District 5. First off, just a couple of comments. Mr. Dove mentioned that he felt like he was being harassed with all the information that's being provided over and over and over. Well, I agree. A lot of it is duplicates. But we're trying to get the point across. And the point is we're not hearing anything back. We're not being fed any information back from the board that says, no, excuse me?
Go ahead. I haven't said anything yet.
Oh, I know, you were starting to. But anyway, if we could get feedback, like the email I sent out, what studies, what have we done other than hire attorneys that are in favor of data centers? We haven't done anything. Nothing. And that's maybe why you feel harassed, Mr. Dove, because we have to keep bringing up the same stuff over and over and over, asking what the commission has done. And maybe I'm missing something. Maybe you guys have done something, and I don't know. This group doesn't know about it.
So you don't believe like the 6-month moratorium has been good?
The moratorium's a good thing, but what's happened during that moratorium?
Well, that's what I'm asking. You don't believe anything productive has happened during the 6-month moratorium?
Unless it's hidden.
So 2 years is good because...
I'm not saying 2 years. I never said 2 years.
I've heard it a lot today, so I'm just asking.
You've heard it a lot. I haven't said 2 years.
Okay.
A moratorium is needed, an extended moratorium.
That was a 90-day moratorium, wasn't it?
Yes.
3 months, not 6. Okay.
Well, we've been dealing with this issue for months before the moratorium was in place.
Okay.
The moratorium is 3 months. Go ahead.
Okay, but anyway, I want to, just clarify with Mr. Dove's comment there. I don't mean that we're harassing you or want you to feel harassed. We're just wanting more information.
Well, one of the reasons that you're not getting anything from me, and it could be from other board members, is we have not had a proposal in writing.
What kind of proposal would you like?
Well, a proposal from whomever is going to purchase it.
I'm sorry?
Put a data center in. There's nothing that's come to us in writing that says this is what we want to do.
Okay.
Is that, am I correct?
No application.
No application.
There's no application.
No application. So,
but
to
excuse me. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So to go further into that without me seeing it in writing, this is what we propose to do. I'm giving conversation on something that I don't know yet.
Okay, and that's understandable.
Would that be fair?
Yeah, that's fair, and that's understandable.
All right. The other thing is that you were speaking of money taken from an attorney. When someone hires an attorney, they have a right to hire someone to defend them, and that's just the way business is. They have a right to hire someone. They aren't being hired by us to do anything except give us how, if this is done, how to protect citizens of Leavenworth County, how to protect them. And they have the expertise. Now in the interim, we were looking at not just that company, but other companies.
Correct.
And some of those companies have a conflict of interest.
In looking at this company, I think there's a conflict of interest
there. In your mind, it could be. They're not a company that has other endeavors going on within Leavenworth County.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'll live with that. I'm going to reclaim some of my time, please.
Absolutely.
All right. The next question is for Mrs. Reed. She talked about constituents and talking to constituents. I've been blocked, Mrs. Reed. I can't contact you. You never answer me. I've been blocked on your site. We've had some discussions. I've probably been a little less.
Jerry, let's not.
No, I don't want to go down
that route.
I'm not going down there. I'm just going to say I've been a little less than polite to you, and I'll apologize for that.
I take no offense whatsoever.
Okay, but unblock me so we can further discuss.
I'll show you my social media right now.
We can discuss things.
So I don't want to get in the middle of this, but I can tell you one thing about social media. That people will say you're blocked and you didn't do anything.
Yeah. Well.
So I mean, it's. I don't always understand the algorithms on social media.
But anyway, that's my apology to her if I said some things that maybe weren't the right things to say. That's it. That's it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for your comments. Okay. Do we have? You want to? Okay, I'm going to have to allow us to take a break because we have a request for a break.
How many more do we have? We have just one.
Are you the last one?
Can you make it? All right.
Let's just get to one.
If there's just one more, come on down.
Hi. Thank you again. I'm Jane Dent. I live about a little over a mile, maybe a mile and a half from where the data center will be built. If this proposed data center, it will not be built. Just a few things. I wasn't planning on talking, so you know I'm going to be really nervous up here. I think there's a simple solution to the whole discussion at the beginning of the meetings. If you would just ask your paid people, contractors, or whatever, to be the first ones to come up and speak at 9 o'clock and get them out of the way, and then go ahead and let the rest of us public speakers come up and talk about whatever we want. I feel like would be a huge solution to this issue, because you're worried about them sitting here for an hour waiting for all of us to stop talking. But if you just make a rule that they get to go first, I'm sure we would all be okay with letting them get their stuff done and go first. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
That's going to be conducting the meeting. That would be basically some of those times that would end up being an hour. I mean,
Oh,
so that
so you guys are talking about the ones that you got come up here and talk in the middle
right.
of that.
I mean, so that's the issue.
So I was confused there. That's my fault. But I thought it was just some of these ones that are setting out here.
No, it would be good.
Okay. I still want public comment first on anything. I think we should be allowed to do that. Like a lot of them said, they need that time.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other thing I wanted to bring up was, I don't know if it was 2 or 3 weeks ago when we talked about the moratorium discussion, and I know I heard that it was going to be put on the agenda, and I thought it was going to be put on the agenda within 1 to 2 weeks, and if it was, I don't know why it didn't get put there. I think it should have been put there before the primaries. I don't think it was a good idea to have that discussion after the primaries. I think we should have done it today. I do think it should have been at least 2 years, because the moratorium was done to allow you guys time to have studies done, research all of this stuff, to make sure that this facility was not going to cause any harm to the residents that live around there or their property values or anything like that. And as far as we can tell, that $450,000 has not gone anywhere to start those studies. And I don't understand that. That's why the moratorium was there, I thought, was to allow the studies to begin. They haven't begun. It looks as though the $450,000 has been used now to hire a lawyer, and we believe that lawyer is pro-data center, which we don't understand that. I think that is a conflict of interest. They should not have been hired. Maybe they don't have anything going on in Leavenworth County. I don't care. They are promoting data centers, and you guys shouldn't be hiring somebody that is actually promoting data centers or wanting data centers to move into wherever. That's not a good idea. So that all needs to be thought out. But again, you need time to get these studies started. I know in a lot of pharmaceutical situations, they have to do like 10-year studies to make sure that these medicines aren't going to harm kids or adults or people. You need a 10-year moratorium to do that kind of study. So a 2-year moratorium, I don't feel like is a big issue. I think we should at least have 2 years. And the new commissioners need to get caught up to speed. They need to be involved in deciding what studies they want done. Also, and the whole not being able to speak back and forth between us, and supposedly you're going to be answering our questions, like if we email you. I've emailed you all plenty of times. I've sent things through Messenger. I've not gotten any responses from any of those emails asking my questions, letting you know what I think about this issue. I know I've asked Ms. Reed many times to have a town hall in her district and bring her people in, discuss the moratorium, ask them, would you want this put in your district? And you just look at me, or you just ignore me. I don't understand why you don't want to have that. You don't think enough people will show up. I think that's ridiculous. This is a huge issue. Any of you have a town hall, you're going to have a lot of people show up, trust me, and you're going to get their opinions. So a vote on this for the people. Do you want a data center, a hyperscale 1.2 gigawatt data center built in your district? That's the question. Not in Leavenworth County, in your district. 2-year moratorium. Ask your constituents what they want. Do what your constituents want.
Thank you very much. Mr. Lawfrey, I have a question. The moratorium's on the agenda for next week, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and you did send me a letter or a list of the studies that are proposed under using those funds. Could you kind of outline, like a brief outline of what those what we're going to use those funds for?
I don't know if I can be brief, but I'll try. I don't know if it's go. So
you've heard this before.
Yeah. I don't know. Commissioners, so I'll just talk about the process, and I've brought this up before, and I think I've talked to some people on the phone about this. And this is, I think, the point that was being made. Folks, the owners of property have the right to make application to the county for use. We can't deny that right without violating their civil rights. So when we say we just shouldn't even talk about it, we have to talk about it. It's required. It's a law. It's actually part of the your constitutional rights. I'm not saying that we have to approve. We just have to allow them to process. So one of the things that we started a long time ago as far as this process goes, is to develop guidelines, because that's really our role, is to regulate development. In those guidelines, there's a very specific list of studies that have to be completed. But because of court cases, you cannot force an applicant to pay for studies unless they have an expectation of approval of their application. That's a court case. Leavenworth County has been part of that case. So this developer, because the project is large and important to them, has agreed to fund a portion of those studies up front to move the process along. That's where the money came from. They didn't have to do that. They have to reimburse us for any expenses that we have, that any developer does. That's part of our regulations. But they didn't have to pay. They don't have to pay for studies before they get a permit to do business. That's what the courts have said. We have to give them a conditional permit and say, we're going to do these studies, but the reason it's conditional, it says, if you do the studies, they have the expectation of doing business. That's the only way we can make them pay for it. That's the law. That's how it works. It's unfortunate that we haven't communicated that better, but that's how it works. We have to do that. Now, if we come up and say, we want to do these studies, and they say we don't want to pay for them, the application's done. It's over. It's completed. What we've spent so far in money is very little. We've engaged an attorney, a very good attorney, one who is very familiar with data centers, which helps us know what we can expect from the other side when the time comes. So I know there are people who think that Kutak Rock is biased. Attorneys have a legal obligation to declare any kind of conflict. If they don't, they can be disbarred. And that's not an exaggeration. So they have declared that. I think we have one of the better legal counsels available to us now to help us get good regulations, good agreements, and address things that they already know are coming that we aren't aware of. You want us to have the best representation we can in the county. The studies that you ask for are part of the development guidelines, which have been available for months. I think Kim left, but she's provided comments. I think those are the only comments we've had on the development guidelines were from Kim. So, which were good comments. That's the process. We're going through that. Those development guidelines will be on we're almost next month in August to be approved by the Planning Commission. And in there it has all the studies. And there's a list of them. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, Commissioner, but there's multiple studies in there. Those all will have to be completed at some time. But legally, we can't force them to pay for those studies before they have an application, for sure, and certainly, typically not until they have an approval. And their approval is conditioned upon those studies being completed. Now, some of the studies can't be completed. Some of the ones that you talk about can't even be completed until after they were open. It's like the tonal noise study. You can't do a tonal noise study unless there's actually somebody there creating a tonal noise. They are required in these applications to do a noise study before they open and after they open, and to monitor it ongoing if the plan goes forward. Same is true of air quality. Same is true of the water usage. All those things. It's in the development guidelines. I encourage you to read those. They've been available for months. Those are in there.
I can't hear you.
Why do we take the money? Why do we take the money?
So there are things that we have to do as part of the development, right? We're engaging an engineering firm to do exactly what somebody talked about on 222nd Street, and that is to give us the results. What is going to be the impact of the construction? Actually, they're going to give us 3 different studies. One is what's going to happen as part of construction. what's going to happen during pre-construction, during construction, post-construction. All those studies. Developers have to reimburse us for those. Typically, we wouldn't even start that study until we had an application, but the developer has asked us to do that and agreed to pay for it up front. Those are good studies to have regardless of what happens in that corridor, to know what the condition of County Route 1 is. That's a good study for the county to get. You wouldn't want us to pay for this. We don't ask any citizens to pay for what is benefiting a developer. That's why we took the money. That's why we're using the money to fulfill our obligations on this development.
Why can't we come up with money to pay for our own studies so that we know all the facts?
So,
if you would like to bring that money to us, please do. I mean, please bring it.
I don't really want to do it. I mean, if we had an open session, we would do that, but we can't really do that right here. So, I'm going to call for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
And voting, Mr. Reed?
No.
Not to adjourn.
Mr. Holmes? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.